We would consume it back in the day, even through what we ate. So we've been deficient for over 80 years. And we're finally starting to get that back into our system. And it can feel like a whole new normal for some people. And some people get an overwhelming kind of a whoosh feeling when they first try it, because I give everybody samples when they come in to see me in person. They can usually feel better within one dose or feel some effects of it. And again, it's not intoxicating. It won't get you high because our bodies have been so deficient of it for so long.
Do you want to wake up feeling like you're stepping into who you're meant to be? Into the best possible version of you? What if I told you that the key to your best life, health, and happiness are all around you? You just have to find what works for you. I'm Hope Pedraza, and I believe that there isn't just one way to live a healthy and meaningful life, and that all you need is a little inspiration to make changes that last from the inside out. Each week, I'll be sharing tangible tips and inspirational interviews to help you on your journey. These are the steps to take to improve your life and live with purpose. This is Hopeful and Wholesome. Hey y'all, welcome back to the show. Today I have on the show Terri Long. Now Terri is the CEO and founder of Hemolily, which helps women find harmony and balance again with products infused with amazing hemp. And she was able to overcome fibromyalgia and now peri-menopause really with the help of hemp and with the help of these products that she's created that have hemp and have CBD. And that's really what we're here to talk about today. Now, we're specifically talking about how hemp and these products with CBD, well, first of all, what it is, how it works, kind of the science behind it, and how it can really help with hormones. And we talk about perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, even women who are premenopause, how it can help in all stages of a woman's hormonal cycle, if you will, and really how to find and source the best kind, because it's, as she talks about in the episode, it's kind of the Wild West out there with CBD because it's not regulated. And so she's going to give you all the tips and pointers that you need to find the best quality and the best source so that you're really getting hemp and effective CBD. So lots to learn from this episode. Let's jump in. All right, y'all, let's jump in. I'm here with Terri, and we are talking about CBD. And what I loved about what her expertise is that we're relating CBD to hormones. And I love talking about hormones. So I'm excited about this conversation. Thanks so much for coming on today, Terri.
No problem, Hope. Glad to be here and help out.
Yeah, me too. So you have kind of your own journey to CBD and kind of how it helped you overcome some things. So I guess let's start there. Can you just share a little bit about like what your health journey has been and how CBD helped you on your journey?
Sure. I felt ill for most of my 30s, always tired and achy and just didn't want to do anything. And I went to a lot of different doctors, rheumatologists. Nobody could figure out what was exactly wrong with me. And more people are going through the same thing now than even when I did 20 years ago. If they can't figure out what's wrong with you and you just hurt all over and you want to sleep all the time, they call it fibromyalgia. Mm-hmm. Term for they don't know what's wrong with you, basically. So I had that diagnosis. I tried medications. Nothing was really helping me. And I refused to believe that the body didn't want to heal itself. I didn't want to be on prescriptions for the rest of my life and not feel better. So I did a lot of research on my own because I was starting to lose faith in medicine a bit. And I found that you definitely have to fix your body so it can heal. So eating organic, cutting out processed foods, trying to get off prescriptions if possible, detoxing and, your detergents, your toothpaste, deodorants, all that kind of stuff. I did eating organic, processed foods, detoxing, and eliminating wheat. That's actually probably the biggest one because I can still eat wheat now and I feel those symptoms. I don't consider myself to have fibromyalgia anymore, but I just know how to control the reactions of what I eat. But along that journey to find wellness the natural way, I found out that cannabis was one of the only things offering fibromyalgia sufferers any real relief. So that intrigued me. I was always pro free the plant, let people have access to it, even though it wasn't for me. I felt at the time it wasn't for me. I was in corporate. It was illegal. I thought you had to smoke it. I don't want to smoke anything. So I was like, okay, great. Let the people who want it have it, but it's just not for me. So I did feel pretty much better from fixing my diet and detoxing and such, but I kept my interest in cannabis. And I still wasn't feeling good in corporate. I had a doctor even tell me I was allergic to work. That was amazing. I asked him to write me a note, and he said he would not do that. But in 2017, I had been in corporate a long time and was just ready to get out. So I found out that hemp had most of the medicinal benefits, and you don't get high, and you don't have to smoke it. There's other ways you can take it. So I was so excited about that. I decided to launch my own brand. I looked into joining other brands or MLM companies, things like that. And I decided that I could help others the most if I started my own. I didn't want it to be the high prices of MLM products, et cetera, and I could give them just as good of quality. So that's my health journey and how it brought me to being fully passionate about the cannabis plant.
Yeah. So what was the turning point for you? Because you said for a while you were like, no, cannabis isn't for me. What was the turning point where you decided, well, let me just try it and see what happens?
That was in 2017 when I found out you can get benefits from hemp. I also took a trip out to Colorado and said, all right, I'm really curious about this, so let's give it a try. I'm not incredibly a fan of the THC effects for me because I'm highly sensitive. So I can take really tiny amounts and it's still beneficial. It's called microdosing.
Mm-hmm.
But the hemp, you get all those benefits. You get pretty fast relief, and you don't have to smoke it. You have tasty gummies. You can put an oil under your tongue. There's topicals. So yeah, I've been in cannabis since 2017, and just I love sharing the word with people that they can feel better naturally. They don't have to go the prescription route. This can supplement the prescription route. And then to your point in the beginning is how we focus on women and hormones. That came about because, I just turned 51, so I'm peri-menopausal. My customers were coming into my store saying, Terri, I don't have hot flashes or night sweats anymore. So I looked into that further and I found out, yeah, the cannabis plant is helping women with their symptoms of menopause. Yay. So I've been just refocusing everything on that because not enough people know about it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I think that's true. And I think, like you said, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about it. And I think that, and I think too, people don't really understand kind of the science behind why it works and stuff. So when you started using it, when you decided like you were going to use the hemp, how long before you started feeling the effects in your own body with your pain and stuff?
Well, I started taking it primarily for balance, to get rid of crazy lady and just feel stable throughout the day. Gets rid of your mood, gets rid of your grouchies, things like that. That's why I originally started taking it. And I take it daily just for general health to support your body, overall. It's a daily supplement.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until people were coming into my store saying it's helping their hot flashes and night sweats. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'm almost 50 at the time. And I've never had any symptoms of menopause. I would think I'd be having them by now. Mm-hmm. So I did a test and I actually stopped taking my product. And sure enough, in a couple of weeks, I woke up 5 times from night sweats. Wow. And they're dreadful. If anyone knows, they're dreadful. So I said, okay, let me start taking my tincture again. The next night I only woke up twice. And the following night I didn't wake up at all.
Wow.
So for me personally, everybody's level of need for cannabinoids is different. But for me, it just knocked it right out. We have lots of women that say the same thing. And we haven't gotten into the science exactly of how it does that yet. But it can be pretty remarkable.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. That was going to be my next question. I love to nerd out on the science stuff. So if you want to explain a little bit about the science, because I also think that's a selling point for people, because a lot of people hear about it and they're like, I hear it from this person or that person or whatever, but they don't really understand how it works. So yeah, I would love to hear the science behind it.
And I'm not incredibly sciencey either, but I know the basics of it.
Yeah.
So the basics is we have an endocannabinoid system. Most mammals and living things have an endocannabinoid system. That's your body. And our brain actually produces a small amount of cannabinoids. Now, the plant cannabis is dense in phytocannabinoids, plant cannabinoids. There's other plants in the world, too, that have cannabinoids. It's just that cannabis is the most dense with them. So cannabis, cannabinoids. So the phytocannabinoids balance out our endocannabinoid system when we're not making enough on our own. And we all know our bodies are toxic lately. We have so much stress, all kinds of things going on. It's because our body, well, I shouldn't say it's because, but one of the reasons is because our body is deficient in cannabinoids. We even used to give hemp to cattle.
Right.
We would consume it back in the day even through what we ate. So we've been deficient for over 80 years. And we're finally starting to get that back into our system. And it can feel like a whole new normal for some people. And some people get an overwhelming kind of a whoosh feeling when they first try it, because I give everybody samples when they come in to see me in person. They can usually feel better within one dose or feel some effects of it. And again, it's not intoxicating. It won't get you high. Mm-hmm. But because our bodies have been so deficient of it for so long, that's the simple science. I guess I'll also add that we have cannabinoid receptors from our brain down to the very cells in our skin. So it's a master system regulator that covers all of our other systems like endocrine system, hormones, and immune system. So it's the umbrella over everything. It seeks to find mind and body balance so your body can heal. So whether you ingest it or you apply it topically, it's just really an amazing plant.
Yeah. Do you find that one way is more effective than another? Like, is the topical, like the tincture, like, do you find one way is more effective?
It depends on the person, but in general senses, topically is for localized pain relief. If you want fast relief, our topicals get rid of pain in 60 seconds or less. So everything's guaranteed. I love to try it on people before they buy it. We'll give them some of the product to apply. And if it doesn't give them relief, they'll see some relief. And I say, okay, well, let's go stronger then. But some people, it's immediate, and they're just amazed by how fast it is. And then, of course, if you have widespread pain, you don't want to put salve or a roll-on all over your body.
Your whole body.
So you want to take it internally, like the oil drops under the tongue or a gummy or a capsule, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So we're consultation-based. We help people figure out what the right product is for them, hopefully get them sampling it first to see if they can get any immediate relief. Right. And then we stay with them throughout to make sure to get the most out of the plant.
Right. That makes sense. That's great that you'll offer consults to be able to customize and personalize, because like you're saying, I mean, everybody's using it for different things too. So to be able to have that kind of customization, I think is probably pretty important. And then what about for people who, well, since we're kind of on the topic of hormones, you're talking about hormones. What about people who are already on any sort of like hormones or hormone replacement therapy? Can they still use this, and can they still get benefits from it?
Absolutely. Yes. We're finding that is a huge pathway forward for our brand, and helping women is working with wellness centers that offer HRT. It can be great for women who are hesitant to take HRT. It's a good alternative. And they say there's some risks. A lot of women think that if they had cancer in their family, that it's high risk for HRT. I'm learning more and more that that's not the case. But for people who simply don't want to do HRT, or maybe they're trying HRT and it's not working as well as they want, or it's not quite knocking out all their symptoms, they have just a little bit of something left, you can add this with it. So yes, it goes with it naturally. Now, I will say that I'm not a doctor, so I can't give medical advice. We talk anecdotally.
Right.
So you will want to talk to your doctor, or if you need to talk to a cannabis nurse, you can always contact me here at Hemolily. We are partnered with we411.org, which is a cannabis nurse network.
Oh, awesome.
So they do a lot of donating to people in need who can't afford cannabis products, but they are trained, so they can talk specifically about anybody's condition. So try to talk just generally how it can help as a broad medicinal product.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So tell me this, and this might be a dumb question, but I feel like there's different categories of things here, right? Like we know like the stuff with THC, like we know that you get the, the gummies and like the actual marijuana, right? And then you have hemp, and then you have CBD. Our hemp and CBD are two different parts of the plant, right? Are these two different things?
Nope. Hemp is a plant.
Right.
And it is cannabis. It's sativa. So hemp is primarily, CBD is the main component of the plant with other minor cannabinoids. You've got your trace THC in here, CBD, CBN, CBG. They're always discovering more minor cannabinoids, but it's primarily CBD. On the marijuana side, it's primarily THC. That's the medicinal component and intoxicating. And then your CBD is just minor amounts in the other minor cannabinoids. So that's generally the difference. But even since Hemolily started 5 years ago, the waters are very blurred now because man is crossbreeding. Everybody wants to have something new and unique. So it really comes down to the law is is it 0.3% THC or less is generally the law in the United States. It depends on the state, but that's generally what the states have. 0.3% THC by weight or less for it to be legal and considered hemp. If it's just over 0.3, they call it marijuana.
Gotcha.
You see how the lines got blurred there.
Yeah, for sure. And so the hemp is part of the marijuana plant.
Hemp is just a different species of cannabis. Got it.
Okay. I feel like I should know that, but I'm pretty sure I've learned that at some point. But that was, I feel like it all gets really confusing because I feel like even before, and this was years ago, I don't even know the name of this company or if it's even still around. But I remember my mom talking about, there was some MLM company years ago that was selling hemp stuff. And this was before CBD got really big. And then CBD came around and I'm like, okay, well now I'm confused. Like what's the difference? So that makes sense though.
It's confusing and it's not a straightforward plant.
Right.
So that's why consultations help. A lot of people now have tried CBD and they say it didn't work for them. Right. So we help people figure out why it didn't work for them. And if they were to purchase one of our products and get consultation from us, and they just have to call me up and say, it's not working, or I'm not getting the relief I need, or I don't like it. I'll figure out what they've done so far and we'll help them adjust. It's not straightforward as this is your weight, this is your age, here's a prescription, go, so it's not simple and straightforward. And people do need to know the difference between hemp and marijuana.
Yeah.
And the other question people often ask is hemp oil versus hemp extract. Is hemp oil the same thing as CBD?
Mm-hmm.
So many years ago, I went into the grocery store and I was like, wait a minute, there's a bottle of hemp on the shelf. It's hemp oil, Nutiva brand, right? That's hemp seed oil. It's nutritional, not medicinal. The seeds don't have CBD in them. Or they might have tiny, tiny traces, but generally we say no. And same with the stalk and stem of the plant really doesn't have the cannabinoids in it. When you get into the leaves, they start having cannabinoids in it. And it's the bud or the flower that's the most concentrated.
Yeah.
Of the plant that has the medicinal benefits in it.
Okay. That's so crazy and I love hemp seeds. I put hemp seeds on all the things. So hemp seed and there's hemp protein powder and there's so many different parts of the plant. I think that's why it gets so confusing because you're like, well, wait a minute, but I eat hemp seeds, but then so there's so many different pieces of this. Well, then I'm like, you were talking about people who have used it before and it hasn't worked. I feel like I have been in that boat before and for a long time. And I won't say I'm like completely there. For a long time, I struggled with sleep like so bad. I just slept terrible. And everybody kept saying, try CBD. And I was reading up and I felt like it didn't do anything for me. Now, granted, I don't know how reputable the company, and I didn't know who, where to get it, but it's like, oh, there's CBD places around town. So, I'll just go try something. But I think it would have been super helpful to have like an expert, like you're talking about these nurses that can help because I felt like I used it and I'm like, well, what's all the hype about? Like, I don't feel like this is helping at all. So,
right. Well, there's many things that come into play with that. First of all, we don't have regulations in the hemp industry yet. We're waiting on the FDA and we keep hearing that it's coming soon. And we're 5 years into it since the federal farm bill.
Mm-hmm.
We're hearing again that it could be within the next 90 days that they might give us some regulations. Regulations can be good or bad. It's kind of the Wild West right now. You can get legal THC from hemp now. Everybody's selling that more than, that sells more than CBD now.
Yep.
But that might change. So regulations, labeling. There isn't, again, regulations for labeling. So you don't know what you're getting. People try buying, especially when COVID hit, and everybody wanted their help with stress and anxiety. They turned to Amazon and Amazon doesn't allow CBD products, but it says hemp oil. So people didn't know. They tried it. They may or may not have gotten benefit because it may or may not have had CBD in it. They can't say it if it does. And then dosing. So are you taking it correctly? Are you holding it? If it's an oil, are you holding it under your tongue? I've had people say it didn't work. Say, did you hold it under your tongue? No. It's like, here, try this. Give them some. And they hold it under the tongue. They're like, wow, what a difference.
Oh, that's crazy.
And then it's not as straightforward as just taking one gummy. Oh, it didn't work for me. Maybe a half. Strange as it sounds, a half may work more. That can be more effective. So for cannabis, sometimes less is more effective.
Yeah.
Maybe you need two. If you're using the oil drops, start with a half dropper, and then try a full dropper. And if that's not working, you can go up to like almost 4 droppers with ours. There isn't really any risk of getting too much It's just that it makes you sleepy if you get too much all at once.
Right.
So people need help with adjusting, and it's not always an immediate effect. If you get close to the right amount for you, you should feel it within the first serving of trying it. But some people do take days or weeks. So we do want you to take it consistently, and you'll eventually start feeling the relief from it. But if somebody says they've been taking it for 5 or 6 months and they're just starting to feel it, it's like, to me, that dose was probably too low and we need to increase it.
Yeah.
So again, back to the consulting, if people have tried all that and I've helped them adjust and nothing's still working, I just give them a refund. They don't have to send the product back. We have a money back guarantee. There is a small amount of people that cannabinoids just don't affect them. That means they're not deficient and they're great.
Yeah. That's, I guess, more power to them, right? That's awesome. That's super helpful to know all of those pointers and looking at it. And the other thing I was going to ask, so because you were talking about like specifically like peri-menopause and kind of that half of the hormonal spectrum, do you also have women who, are pre-menopausal, right? The women who are younger who wanted to deal with, whether it's severe PMS or, PCOS or whatever it is with those kind of things. You also see benefits of it with those kind of things.
Endometriosis pain, period pain. I went into my doctor for blood one time and I told the nurse taking my blood about it, and I gave her some oil. She consumed it right there and followed up with her. She said her endometriosis pain was gone for 2 days. Again, everybody's different. Hers was extraordinary,
Yeah.
If you find that you're taking it and your pain's only gone for half an hour, 2 hours, to me, that means you want to try something stronger. So, but we have a roll-on. I created that specifically with essential oils and such that are helpful for period pain and the ease of rolling it on your lower back and belly. So that would be a roll-on, but any kind of topical would help, and taking it internally too. And you can do both at the same time. You can do topically and internally at the same time.
Oh, that's
of course, stress, anxiety, all of those that we all deal with, and it could be a hormone imbalance, but the plant works to balance out your cortisol spikes. So that's the key thing that we're finding is it balances cortisol, and cortisol is what gives us our hot flashes and night sweats, and our anxiety and things like that are cortisol spikes. So it pushes it back down and keeps you nice and balanced.
Well, and that's good to know too, because I think, sometimes we're talking about helping with pain and all this and that. And then sometimes it's like, well, are we masking what's really happening? Is it actually helping to heal anything? But understanding that it's actually helping your adrenals and your cortisol levels, that's huge.
Yes. So we don't generally say it heals. I don't want anybody to think it heals. I have had customers say, I had such and such issue. I don't want to get trouble because we're not supposed to treat diseases and stuff, but I had such and such pretty severe issue and they took this for a while and they don't need it anymore. That's great. But generally we just say it helps you with your symptoms. So some people will not feel well. They'll take a hemp CBD product, feel better, and they run out. They start noticing, say, their grouchy is coming back, something like that. And they'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm out. I definitely feel different when I'm taking my hemp oil. So, and we don't want to cover up. If you need surgery, we don't want to cover up if you really need to see a doctor about something, but it helps you manage.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what are some ways, so if people are looking, obviously your company, because you do a really good job of being able, like consulting and really customizing what people are looking for. But for people who are looking for a CBD, I don't know, you call it supplement? I guess you call it a supplement, a CBD supplement. What are some things to look for? Like, because you're saying, it's kind of the Wild West. Like, you don't really know what you're getting. So are there any specific things on like labeling or like how it's named? Are there anything people can look for to know, like, okay, this is like pure, it's authentic? Is there any way to tell anything like that?
It's tricky. And people often bring their other brands to me and I help make sense of it because, again, there's no regulations. But generally, I recommend you want one that's full spectrum. That means it does have some THC in it. But some people want a broad spectrum. That means it has all the goodies of the plant. It just doesn't have THC. That lowers their drug test risk. And then some people use an isolate. It's isolated down to just the CBD portion of the plant. It's the cheapest. So you find a broad range of prices. Usually the spectrum is the most expensive. Not always. It just depends on the brand. Labeling. Get a referral from somebody you know who has a brand that they've tried and really like. Find a company that will help you find the right product for you, and hopefully a money back guarantee, somebody that you can actually get on the phone or email and know that you're going to get a refund.
Right.
So other than that, labeling can be tricky. Some labels will say 1,000 milligrams hemp extract. Does that mean 1,000 milligrams CBD? It may or it may not. On ours says full spectrum hemp extract, and we do mean the same thing as CBD milligrams. If we were to talk about the other minor cannabinoids as milligrams added on, it would be higher than that. But you see where there's really a need for consistency in the industry, so people can learn how to take it and know who to trust.
Right. Well, that's tricky because I think now that you're explaining through all that, I'm pretty sure the one that I took, it was the one that doesn't have any THC in it at all. And that's probably why it didn't. I felt like I was like, what am I doing? I don't know.
Some people love it. Some people get great effects from the ones that don't have the trace THC in it. So, but yeah, I would recommend trying that, trying more, doubling up your dose, try half. I've had people say it's not working. And then when I tell them to try half as much, bingo. They're like, wow, it finally kicks in. So,
yeah, interesting. Well, that's really good information to know too, because I think it gets tricky out there with when especially now there's all kinds of CBD gummies with Delta this and Delta that, and you don't know what you're getting.
Right. So let's talk about Delta, what the differences are there. Delta 8 is essentially man-made. So they took the CBD isolate and chemically converted it to be something very similar to marijuana's Delta 9 that gets you high. Delta 8 is about 2/3 the potency. So it's a little bit more chill. They say it's more head and body than just a head high. And that was the hemp industry's dipping their toe in the waters to see what regulators, law enforcement were going to do. Hey, we have something that actually gets people a little intoxicated.
Right.
How's it going? And the consumers loved it.
Yeah.
And then that was around for a year or so. And they're like, well, look, we can do the exact same thing and actually convert it into, mimic nature. What nature does, converting the soil and the plant into Delta 9, we can do that from hemp too. They might take a ton of plants and take that trace THC and gather all that THC together to make now bulk THC. So now we have Delta 9 in the hemp world, just the same as marijuana. And what's crazy is oftentimes we have products that are way stronger than you would find in a recreational legal state. So, and that doesn't make hemp grow, or it doesn't make the marijuana side very happy at all that we are running without regulation and offering essentially the same thing. So I think that's kind of put a fire under the FDA. They need to come up with something that filters out the bad players.
Definitely. Yeah, that's crazy. That's such good information because I see that a lot. There's a lot of CBD stores here around our city. I'm sure it's the same for a lot of people listening. It's just, I feel like it's everywhere. And we see a lot, especially I feel like in the past 6 months or so, everybody has the Delta 8 sign on the window and it's like, it's everywhere.
Vape shops everywhere. Yeah.
Yes.
We're the alternative to a vape shop.
Yeah.
You don't want to go into a vape shop, but also like my website doesn't have THC products on there currently. It's hard for hemp businesses to get payment processing. I mean, the whole industry of cannabis has a hard time with banking.
Yeah.
But our payment processors may shut you down if you're not doing something just so. So we currently don't have any THC products on our website. Others do. They find a way to do it. So it just depends on the brand.
That's such a tricky market. Like, I can't imagine how frustrating it is for you because you've experienced the benefits firsthand. And it's like, you have to be so careful about everything right now, even though what you're selling is legal. It's just, oh my gosh,
it is. And, I just keep hoping that the regulations will allow us to rise up and others to fall, because I've always tried to be as transparent, as compliant, as fully legal as we imagine it could be. And while other brands are kind of fly by night, say what they want to say, the FDA isn't going to catch them. They make claims. They sell you something that isn't going to work. And, buying gummies off a late night TV probably isn't highest quality, things like that. And the grocery store or gas station, maybe not.
Right. Yeah.
Something
so
for everyone.
well, it's true. But I think moral of the story, everybody listening, is like buy from a reputable brand. And Terri's brand is, she's done her homework and she's like doing it by the book. And I think that's the most important piece of this, is just doing it by the book and knowing that you're getting like the pure, authentic like form of it. Cause that's what you want. That's where all the benefits are. I mean, I always think about, we talk about plants and plant medicine, all this, and how many indigenous people for centuries have used plants to help heal all kinds of things. And it's like, there's so many benefits in plants. And if we could just all get on the same page with things and understand, like, there's so many benefits to this.
There's reasons why they stopped.
Sure.
They don't want us researching. And I don't know, it was too much competition for certain industries back 80 some years ago. They didn't like this amazing plant being around, but it did used to be in every doctor's medicine bag as a go-to for so many things. So hopefully we can fully get back to that.
Yes. And it's crazy to think that it used to be that way and then it shifted. That's crazy.
Our presidents grew hemp. They say the Constitution was written on hemp. I heard that was debunked, though.
That's so funny. That's crazy. Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
So it's new, but it's ancient.
I was about to say, it's not even new. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's not even new. This was such good information, Terri. Before I ask you the last question that I'd like to finish off with, can you let everybody know where to find out more about you and Hemolily so they can know what a reputable CBD hemp distributor looks like?
Yes, we are at hemolily.com. You can see it over my shoulder there, HEMPLILY.com. You can email us at hello@hemolily, and our phone number's on the website as well. If you do browse and you like to give something a whirl, we are going to give you a coupon code. Code is SAVE20. You'll get 20% off your entire order. If you have a hemp product that you've tried before, if you still have it and you said, I have this one here on my shelf, it didn't work for me, call me. I'll look it up for you. I'll see what it really is. I'll try to decipher their labels. Maybe I can help you with the product you already have, adjusting the amount you're taking, when you're taking it, the when, how much, how often is really up to the individual person. And we help you with that. I can help you with the one that you have and see if we can get better results from it.
I love that. Thank you, Terri. And I think that in and of itself speaks to the integrity that your company has, that you're willing to help people like make it work for them, whether it's with your product or somebody else's. So I appreciate that. And of course, I'll put the links to all that in the show notes with the promo code. I'm going to definitely go give it a shop this week and see what I can find for me. So the last question I want to ask you that I'd like to finish off with, what do you think is the most important thing you can do to live with purpose?
To live with purpose. Well, for me, I'm a Christian. I follow God and I want to share his good word and I want to be a good steward and be more like Jesus. And I feel like God gave us this plant. So this is what he has put for purpose in my life, is to help other people feel better and break away from sometimes, the awful grip of pharmaceuticals.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Such good message. Thank you so much, Terri, for sharing this and for sharing your wisdom. I appreciate it.
All right, Hope. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Hopeful and Wholesome, y'all. If you found value in this week's episode, please subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts and leave a review to let me know what you thought. I love to know what you find useful in these episodes so I know how I can provide the most value I can to my listeners. And if you have topics that you want to know more about, I'd love to hear those as well. So shoot me a message on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. It's @TheHopePedraza, or visit my website, hopefulandwholesome.com. Thanks, y'all.